What is going on, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Huddle Within Podcast. We're up to episode 50. Yay! Massive achievement. Very happy about it. Obviously, I think 2 weeks too late because I really wanted to get a 50th episode out to you guys when I land in Australia. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. And the reason why is because I was coming from Spain to Melbourne, and my connecting flight from Istanbul to Bali and Bali to Melbourne didn't transfer my suitcase with me. So I managed to transfer onto the plane, but they left my suitcase in Bali, which meant that I didn't have any of my podcast gear to be able to record an episode from Monday to Thursday. And Thursday was the day that I was actually leaving to Brisbane for the cruise. So I had planned an episode to come out during that time, so then there'd be something available. But instead of actually only supposed to be missing at least one episode, I ended up missing two for that week. And that's primarily because all my gear was in my suitcase and I didn't have it. So apologies for that, one. And two, it was just a bit of a pain in the ass because when I actually had to fly to Brisbane on Thursday, returning Monday, that's when I could go pick up my suitcase. So I borrowed my uncle's suitcase to pack for this cruise, and all the stuff that I had in my other suitcase that was important, I had to transfer over into the other suitcase literally when I was at the airport. So thankfully, all my gear is intact. I've got everything back now. I'm back in Melbourne and keen to put out weekly episodes on a regular basis. And, episode 50, we got there. 50 episodes, pretty crazy. Sort of shifted from what we had at the start to now doing weekly sporting news. And based on sort of what I've been thinking, it will probably change again. So the huddle will continue to sort of evolve and develop as we go along. We've hit 50 episodes, which is awesome. We're almost hit a year total of the Huddle Within. And I'm keen to sort of, figure out what I'm going to do for that episode as well. But look, this is where I need your fucking help, guys. Like, if you can provide any comments, suggestions, what you want, just let me know. I'm looking at potentially building some community pages. Obviously, looking to do some extra episodes. We have something planned. Additionally, come Super Bowl week, Kenny and TJ might be getting on the pod, and we might have an extra episode for you guys out there as well. And I'm also looking at doing some documentary reviews too. So there's a lot happening and a lot sort of planned. It's just if I'm able to process and if it can work logistically and with people I want to do and timing and everything is what's important. And what's really important is if you guys like that stuff as well, if you want to see content where I'm continuing to get Kenny and TJ on board to do NFL reviews. If you want me to review documentaries and you want to understand and break down them for you so you can go and watch them, and because I do recommend them, sports documentaries are quite elite and I do love watching them from time to time, let me know. If you like the sporting news, if you're sick of it as well, also willing to understand what you guys want to hear and what content that you want to listen to, because obviously a podcast goes for a lot of time. I'm yapping most of the time by myself. You might get sick of my voice on a weekly basis. So the more people I can bring, the more refreshing content I can provide, I think the better for you guys and the better for me in the future. If you guys want to continue to listen to the Huddle Within, and even if you want to get involved, just let me know. I'm open ears. It's a new podcast and we continue to strive to get better and better. But for episode 50, it's going to be sporting news. We're going to recap some sporting news. Not go too much into depth today because obviously I think we've missed out on a lot of stuff over the past 2 weeks. But essentially there's a lot of things going on. The first one I will say is, Australian Open's in Melbourne. I can't sit there and say I'm a massive tennis fan, but I did watch the finals of both. So congratulations to the two winners. Alcaraz especially beating Djokovic in 4 sets and taking on the Grand Slams, all 4 he's won. And that's the youngest person to ever do it. So he's got a long and luxurious career ahead of him for sure. Can he overtake Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic for the most Grand Slam titles? We'll have to wait and see. My goat personally is Djokovic. That looks like Carlos and Sinner, I know he lost, are going to be up there for a very, 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 very long time. So, tennis for me, look, I love the sport. I love playing it. I'm just not a big fan of the atmosphere. The atmosphere, like the fact that you can't talk between points, I understand why it's the case. It's just not really my cup of tea. And, it seems I just don't really like individual sports either. Individual sports have never really been my thing. And that's certainly why I can't really get into it as much. And, those that play, I've played tennis, not professionally, not literally just with mates, and it's a tough sport. So, I respect those athletes that go out there and can play up to 4 to 6 hours. It's crazy. And, not for me, but it is Australian Open time and it gets really popular here. We are one of 4 countries that host one of the biggest tennis tournaments in the world. So I can't help but not bring it up in this conversation. But again, it's not really my biggest cup of tea there either. And then in terms of, I guess, the Premier League, United, maybe I should stop recording and talking about United, because ever since I stopped recording, United have just gone on a 3-game win streak. And we probably could win 2 more, and then the guy's going to cut his fucking hair. Can you believe that? The new manager bounce is certainly real, especially caretaker new manager bounce. Does Carrick deserve the gig? Look, I'm not going to rule it out now. I've seen it with Ole, and I know a lot of people don't want to have an Ole 2.0, but let's be honest, I think our best season post-Fergie was probably with Ole. So what's the worst that Carrick can do than what other managers have done in the past as well? So I think he deserves a chance and an opportunity to get the job. Will he get the job? I don't know. Will it fix the problems? I don't know, because I still think that fundamentally the owners are the real problems at the football club. So until they're gone, I can't sit there and say that United will be successful. But we're looking to make a top 4 push. And to be honest, that's something that excites me, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we go. And, we're looking strong. Arsenal sitting comfortably at the top again. Manchester City dropping points to Tottenham. Liverpool picking up some form. Florian Wirtz is playing like his price tag. Mateta wants to leave. Margui signed. There's a lot of shit going on. They signed another player at Liverpool. I don't know who the hell he is, but they're signing for a hefty fee. I think it's a right back, so they're looking to add depth in that position. So, Liverpool might be pushing for top 4 as well. I think it's a race between us, Liverpool, maybe Villa can fall out, Chelsea, obviously, and I think the rest is the best. Like, whoever else can do it. But I think those three teams will be competing for top 4 for sure. And you look at the Champions League, 6 of the 8 teams that qualified, I'm pretty sure, even 7. I think it's 6. 6 of the 7 teams in Champions League, or is it 5 of the 8 teams? 5 of the 8 teams that have qualified guaranteed for Champions League are Premier League teams. Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, and City. It's quite crazy if you think about it. And then you got Newcastle, that finished 13th. And, they were very close to qualifying in the top 8 as well. Like, the Premier League is just on another level at the moment. The fact that Tottenham can go in and finish 4th in Champions League and struggle in Premier League just shows you how good the league is. And it's the best league in the world, and that's why I cover it, because, one, I'm being an English speaker, and 2, obviously, it is the best league in the world, and I think nothing beats it. Like, I've been to Spain, I've been there for a few months, really tried to get into La Liga, I just couldn't, because the fact that the Premier League is just on another level, just different gravy, in my opinion. But, we'll continue to go through the season and talk about everything that happens with the EPL and who's going to win the league, and if United can push for top 4, my bias will come through, but, it is what it is. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it. The All-Star teams have been announced. Few snubs, I would say. Alperen Şengün. A lot of people are saying Embiid is a snub. I think the injury sort of history is what sort of mitigated him from getting the All-Star. But when you see players like Norman Powell, you kind of question whether that, he should go in. And Siakam, as good as he is, there's a lot of, I think, inconsistencies when it comes to the voting, because LaMelo Ball for so many years, and even Trae Young at some stages. Hey, Trae Young is a wizard. We already know that. But those two were in losing seasons and they never got an All-Star gig. And then Siakam's literally the second worst team in the Eastern Conference, I think in the whole league, to my Wizards, and he gets an All-Star, 23 points per game. Even Porter had a better average and a better record than them, and he didn't become an All-Star. So definitely I feel like they're picking and choosing what agendas they go. I don't think Siakam is deserving of it, but I do think Siakam is an all-star caliber player, and that's probably why he got through based on that reputation. Whereas you got players like LaMelo Ball and Trae Young. Well, Trae Young should be an all-star theoretically, but players like Otto Porter, Norman Powell don't get the gig. And like I said, I really think that maybe Norman Powell didn't deserve it, but, he's a first-time All-Star. You got to reward it, and you got to be happy for him. Another person that I'm really happy for is Denny. I think Denny is thoroughly deserves it. He's on my fantasy. Obviously, ex-Wizard. He's taking his game to a whole nother level at the Blazers. And, I'm very happy for him. I think he did definitely deserve an All-Star spot. And another person who definitely deserved it was Jamal Murray. He was like going to be the best player ever to never be in an All-Star game, and he finally goes over the hump and gets the All-Star gig. And I think he thoroughly deserves it. He's been such an elite point guard for so long. His injury history have prevented him from being an All-Star, and this is like one of the most healthiest seasons he's ever had. So the fact that he finally got in, it's awesome, and I'm really glad for him. Yeah, like James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, they don't get through. Bit of a shock to some people. I do think at least one of them should have got through. LeBron James goes through out of merit. Like, you're not going to not put LeBron James in. But then the question is, who do you take out? Keontae George has had a really good season. Maybe their record suggests that he's not ready yet. If they do make a play-in push, I would definitely consider him as a future All-Star. And, Sengun is a beast, and I think maybe he was in consideration too, but I think they got it right with the West and the East. The only thing I'd say is maybe Norman Powell doesn't deserve it, but I'm extremely happy for him. Like, I think he's been in the league a long time, and to get one Eastern Conference All-Star is not the worst thing. Colin Knippel was really close. For a rookie, I feel like he was the closest rookie All-Star we've seen, because he's had a really good season too. But I think next year he'll definitely be an All-Star, especially given that the East is not stacked at all. Like, let's be honest. Like, teams are good overall in terms of their depth, but like in terms of star power, it really is all in the West. But in terms of trades, and like today, I was going to record this earlier, and about 5 minutes ago, people are saying that LeBron James is going to be looking for another destination. So can LeBron James be traded for the first ever time? That far out, that could happen. Like, I think this trade deadline is going to be nuts. We have LeBron James just recently announcing his trade. Whether that's true or not, it's not directly announced from him, but sources are saying that they're looking for a new home for LeBron James. That's crazy. And then about 2 hours before that, it was James Harden. And James Harden's also looking for a place to go. And there's a lot of rumors circling around Darius Garland from the Cavs. Can James Harden be a Cav? What would that mean for LeBron? Does LeBron go back home? A lot of questions regarding those two. But I think the biggest story, and the one where I think the most trade assets can occur and the most value and the biggest blockbuster trade can happen, is Giannis. And look, I think a lot of teams are desperate to get Giannis in their team, but how much are they willing to sacrifice in terms of getting him? Because I think if you're giving up multiple picks, 2 or 3 of your main players that are giving you 20 or 30 minutes, it's not worth it. Like, I've seen some Timberwolves trades with Jalen McDaniels and Julius Randle and a couple first rounders. Like, I wouldn't do it. As crazy as it sounds, I would not do it, because J-Mac is someone that's going to give you 30, 35 minutes a night. He's an extremely talented role player, and he's elite. You don't want to blow that up, and you don't want to lose your future to get someone that will be in there for 2 years. I love Giannis, but we didn't see it work with Dame. What makes you think it's going to happen with Anthony Edwards? I don't know. Could be wrong. But if they do it, I don't think they should be giving up a player like Jaden McDaniels in it. I think they should be giving up someone else. But I think the Bucks would be desperate for a player like him, and the Bucks will be desperate for a haul for Giannis. So, look out for that. You've also, Knicks are interested. Apparently the Bulls are interested somehow. Who else would be interested? The Spurs is also the exciting one. Like, Wemby and Giannis together would be unbelievable. The Cavs apparently have a little bit of leaks, like, getting maybe Garland or Mobley. I don't know. But just look out for it, because whatever trade's going to happen is going to be super blockbuster, because it is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think his time in Milwaukee is pretty much done, if I'm honest. And I think, it's time for him to try something new. And I think wherever he goes, the team's an instant contender. I'm not saying they're not, but I feel like if you are going to get Giannis, you're gunning for your championship, and you're pretty much giving up most of your team to do it, or at least key pieces of your team to do it. So whoever does pull the trigger on Giannis, it is championship or bust for that team, because if that doesn't work out, shit's going to hit the fan. But, we'll keep tabs on it. I hope it happens soon, but those 3 players, LeBron James, James Harden, and Giannis, are all up for trade. And those are 3 former MVPs, which is crazy. 3 former, I think, multi-time MVPs as well. I think both, Harden's only won 1, but LeBron's won obviously multiple, and Giannis has won 2. So, like, big players that are obviously passing their prime, not Giannis, but more Harden and James. But, who would have thought in one season you'd have LeBron, Harden, and Giannis all be out the window soon of their teams? It's crazy. But, we'll keep out for that. NBA trades are looking spicy. Trade deadline's going in. We had a really irrelevant trade before. We had Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis going to the Cavs for DeAndre Hunter. Obviously, the Kings have some salary relief, and The Cavs get someone in Keon Ellis, who I think is a really underrated player, an elite defender, and I think he'll do really well on a competitive team. And then Dennis Schroeder, he's getting passed around like a blunt, poor bloke. Feel really bad for him. He really should have taken that contract so he wouldn't get traded as much. But, he's actually a really good player. Like, for what it's worth, Dennis Schroeder is solid. He's an MVP World Cup champion as well. And let's not forget about that. He's been traded about 8 times in 10 times, 8 seasons. I don't even know how it is, but he's been traded a fuck ton. He's a good player. So I don't really necessarily think it's his fault. I think the contract he's got and the fact that he can contribute to winning teams is probably why he's getting traded. And, he signed a decent deal with Sacramento to obviously not try to get traded as much, but I think he'll be happy going to the Cavs and potentially competing. And, the Cavs improved big time, and I think DeAndre Hunter was the answer for them. And now they pick up 2 solid guards. Schroeder can offer some scoring that they lost through Ty Jerome, and Keon Ellis can be that on-ball defender, providing energy off the bench that he did for Sacramento. But, Sacramento is a place where I guess your career goes to die and you're not really competing. So maybe Keon Ellis's skill set will be more useful in a competing team, which I'm pretty sure it will be for sure. So, we'll look out for that. We're really excited to see, with the rest of the trades and how the Cavs go, maybe they can start competing in the East, because Detroit are flying at the moment. Boston are flying at the moment. Knicks are struggling. I feel like they're in desperate need of a trade as well. So, lots going to happen there, and the East is open. The East is very open. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of teams will be gunning for some players as well. We also had Paul George suspended for 25 games, and I'm waiting for him to release a podcast to talk about it, because you failing a drugs test I think it's inexcusable. It's a bit disgraceful as well, and I'm kind of personally upset about it, because I had him in my fantasy team, and the fact that he's costing me 25 games is extremely frustrating, because he was playing really well. Maybe that's because of drugs. Me failing the drug test, he's playing better, maybe, but it's a bit disappointing to see that. And, 25 games, I think, is a bit of a lenient policy. I think it should be more, because you're literally cheating. But who am I to say? I'm not Adam Silver. Adam Silver's done degrees in law, so he'll understand what needs to be done. But yeah, 25 games for Paul George. I wouldn't say it's a massive blow for the Sixers. I just think it's a massive blow for himself, who came back, he recovered his knee, and he was looking good. But now he's going to miss out for a while, come probably back just before the season ends. And if they're pushing for the playoffs, which I'm sure they'll probably make, they'll want him up and ready for that. So, Paul George is out, but I think more of the ball is going to go to Maxey, Edgecombe, and Embiid, who's, let's be honest, he's actually balling the fuck out. So it probably is justified that he should be an all-star, because it is Joel Embiid. Whatever we say about his injury history and how he's acted, he's an MVP, and he's, in one time, he scored over 30 points per game in the league. So can't disrespect Joel Embiid too much. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Huddle Within podcast. If you do enjoy episodes like this, or this episode specifically, be sure to leave a comment and a 5-star review wherever you do get your podcasts. It'd be also great if you could like and subscribe wherever you do get your podcasts, so we can continue to show this out to people that see sports exactly the way that you do. But without further ado, let's get straight back into it. The Royal Rumble. Haha, in Saudi Arabia. Fuck me, man. Triple H getting money. Did you see the lights? I literally, for a second, when I was watching the Royal Rumble, the lights, there were green LED lights on the chairs, and you felt like it was an empty stadium. I don't know what the point or purpose of that was for, but mate, what an underwhelming Royal Rumble again, man. Triple H saying it's going to be spectacular. It's going to be amazing. Oh, you ready? Yeah, we were. And we got disappointed once again. From now on, every time Triple H tells you it's going to be amazing, he's hyping it up. Don't believe him, because, look, the winners, Liv Morgan, good decision. Very happy with that. She is the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. There's a bit of drama over Raquel Rodriguez at the moment, so that's pretty cool. Roman Reigns, easy decision. We take that, because, last year they gave Jey Uso the Rumble, and, he won the belt and then shut the bed when he had it. So putting Roman Reigns forward as the winner, I think, was the correct decision. And I just finished the episode of Raw. It looks like he's going to be taking CM Punk on in the main event of WrestleMania, whether that's night 1 or night 2, I don't know. I think it's leaning towards night 2. We haven't had a World Heavyweight Championship main event match in so long, so they're really trying to even out the belts there, which is good. Roman Reigns and CM Punk. How does Seth Rollins get involved? How did the Bloodline get involved? How did the Vision get involved? we'll have to wait and see because, I don't think Bron Breakker is entirely happy that he's on the Royal Rumble. He did get kicked in the head with a masked man. Is it Seth Rollins? I don't know. Like, that's another mystery now. We're going to find out who the bloody masked man is. Like, it could have just been Seth Rollins. And then if it is, it'd just be super underwhelming because he obviously used the curb stomp to kick him out. But yeah, we had Obafemi come in. Now, still apparently a free agent, eliminating 5 people, the first 5 people at the Rumble, so asserting his dominance. Javon Evans was the Iron Man, so that was pretty cool. And then on the women's side, Sol Ruka was the Iron Woman, and she was unbelievable. Top 3. Get her signed. Like, she's incredible. Sol Ruka is fucking incredible. She's one of my favorites. She's so good in the ring. Her snarl snatch is incredible. And, she just showed that she can go up there with the big dogs. And, Liv Morgan wins it. There's a bit of drama with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Brie Bella came back, which was shit. Like, awesome. Becky Lynch got literally thrown out by Natty, who I think they're trying to push her hard, but she's taken on Maxine Dupree. Are we not going to see AJ Lee and Becky Lynch for the title at WrestleMania? If we don't, that's just crazy. Like, Natty, she's gone this heel turn. It's looking bad. Maybe they'll push her a bit, but reality is we want to see AJ and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, let's be honest. And then I'll go back to the men's Royal Rumble because Brock Lesnar got eliminated while Jey Uso was coming out to his Yeet song, which is wild. I could not believe that. I could not believe they gave that spot. Like, imagine you were, like, the camera panned to LA Knight and Cody Rhodes, but could you imagine you was in the stands, in the Saudi Arabian stands where the money is, and you hear yeet, you're yeeting. Like, everyone was looking at Jey Uso when he came out, and they were yeeting to him. While he's walking down the entrance, you have LA Knight and Cody Rhodes eliminating Brock Lesnar. That's crazy to me. Like, while Jey Uso's theme music is hitting, and while people are yeeting and looking at him. In the live crowd, that's nuts. Lucky we got to see it on TV, but still, crazy spot to do it. I just really feels like, no, they've disrespected Brock Lesnar there. And then you had Drew McIntyre, Claymoring Cody Rhodes and kicking him out of the Rumble. So are we going to see Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre? Is that what we're getting to at WrestleMania? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope there'll be multiple people involved. I think Randy Orton has something to say. I think Jacob Fatu has something to say. So just look out for that. We are on the road to WrestleMania. We also had AJ Styles ultimately finish up his career right before WrestleMania. Interesting timing against the newly nicknamed career killer Gunther. So now he's beaten John Cena in his last match. He's beaten Goldberg in his last match. And he's beaten AJ Styles in his last match. Maybe he takes on Brock Lesnar as the 4th person he puts to bed. But Gunther is making a reputation of career killing people. And you know what? I'm all for it because he's just showing that he's a star and he doesn't need the belt on him to do it. Like, respect is earned, not given. And Gunther's won all these matches cleanly. He's got the biggest heat as a heel at the moment. So, respect is there. And, we're going to keep seeing what's going to happen with him. Is he going to take on Brock Lesnar? I think that one would make the most sense. Given that I don't think there really is a realistic opponent for Gunther besides Brock Lesnar unless he goes for the title, but I don't think that's happening. And AJ Styles, we're going to miss you, man. Like, for me, I knew AJ Styles back in TNA when I was about 9 years old. He was literally the face of that company. The only thing I knew about TNA was AJ Styles. So when he made his appearance in the Royal Rumble in 2026, in his debut at WWE, that was awesome. He had a mad rivalry with John Cena for 3 years. He won a few WWE championships. And, his final run was pretty fun. Like, he took on Logan Paul at WrestleMania. He went for the titles, tag team titles with Dragon Lee. And then he, had the match with John Cena. And it had this feud with Gunther. So we're going to miss AJ Styles. He's retired. It's a bit sad, but it feels like it was inevitable. And like, I wasn't surprised that Gunther was going to be the one to retire him. I just think it made the most sense. The timing again was a bit interesting, but at the end of the day, I think AJ Styles decided when he wanted to call quits. And I think that was the time there. So we're going to miss AJ Styles. We're going to thoroughly miss him. And, the last match we'll talk about is Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre. Sami Zayn again gets screwed over. Yeah, he doesn't win the title there in front of his home fans. He hasn't won against Drew McIntyre. He is now 0-12 against Drew McIntyre. And I know Drew McIntyre recently won the championship, so I knew that he wasn't going to obviously lose here, but it's just a shame that Sami Zayn can't get over the hump and just finally become a world champion. And I'm really rooting for that day to happen, but at the moment, I think it's a bit far-fetched and far gone for now. Maybe this year, no. Next year, yes. But LA Knight, well, pushing for him. Look out for LA Knight this year. I think he's going to break out. I think he needs the world title in his hands. He's been killing it, doing a great job, battling with the Vision. So, we'll see where that takes us. But that's been episode 50. You know, another sporting news. Yep, I know. Nothing crazy for my 50th episode. Let's just hope when we get to 75 or 100 that we can do something a bit more crazy and special. And, you know, the listeners boost up a little bit. That wouldn't be too bad at all either. But again, thank you very much for tuning into the Huddle Within podcast. You listen to your host, Daniel. You know, I'll be back maybe in a couple of days with a Super Bowl preview with Kenny and TJ. We're getting that planned up. Hopefully we can get an episode out before the Super Bowl comes out. But yeah, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next week. Cheers. So that's a wrap for this week's episode of the Huddle Within podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in and being part of this community where we go beyond the game and into what really matters. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who sees sports just the way that we do. And hey, I'd love to hear from you. Connect with me on my social medias, which will be linked below. Send in your thoughts and even be part of a future episode. Until next time, keep that passion alive, stay in the huddle, and remember, it's always deeper than the game. Cheers.